If you're asking yourself, what is leadership? I would encourage you to not ask that question. I would encourage you instead to ask, what is human connection? What is it about the relationships I have, I want to get rid of, I want to bring in, that helps me with my leadership? Ginger here, in this keynote presented to you next at a private session, I talk about the different ways to think about connection and reconnecting, especially as a leader, and specifically as a leader, actually, because when we think about leadership as transformative, not just, oh, my people need to change, that's not why you're here. You're here because you think, I want to help my team grow, and I want to learn how to grow myself. So throughout this keynote, you will get lots and lots of input, how to thinks, as well as some how-tos, and you will see the power of reconnection as it relates to your leadership journey. So enjoy, get comfortable, get ready, and we're going to get into it. The number one launching pad this morning in resetting, refreshing, revitalize is very active gratitude. It's my favorite G word. Well, there's several good ones, of course, but that gratitude needs to live large. It needs to really drive us as leaders to keep that in mind. Now, I am going to make a big assumption because I'm feeling pretty damn confident with this statement, is that you all do already exercise a lot of gratitude. That is an excellent step in the first direction. When you think about gratitude as a leader, think about the last time, the most recent time you extended gratitude to somebody else. Got that in your mind? Okay. Here's the first challenge I'm going to issue you today. Give at least 2 more people a very specific gratitude expression today. And pro tip, the more personal, the better. So this is a phone call, not an email. This is an audio message, not a voicemail. There's a difference between audio message and voicemail. Audio messages are amazing. Take your phone. A lot of you probably know this. If you don't, take your phone, send a little audio message. A lot of you in this room have gotten one from me before. Several of you have given them back. The power of our voice in connecting and reconnecting can't be overstated. So powerful, because we close our eyes and we can hear the voice of somebody we care about, we love, we work with. Hopefully it's all of those. That is true, deep, powerful connection. Thank you all so much for being here today on this Reconnect event. I want to make it really, really worth your while. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of goodies. I got tons of goodies here on my desk in front of me. We're going to get some more back here. Here's the only guideline for today. Fully participate. Light it up. Put anything in the chat you want. You are in a room full of truly freaking remarkable people. This is a private event. I invited you specifically, Liz, my speaking representative, agent, partner, wonderful person. She is here because she invited a whole bunch of you as well. So if you have questions on working together, you can ask Liz directly. The most important thing here is that you take away, you decide at least one thing. That's another lesson right now. Don't try to absorb everything. You are not the world's largest sponge. You are you. Figure out as a leader, what's really on your mind right now? What are you seeking? Connectors and leaders are seekers. If you've never heard that term before, think about that. You're all seeking something by being here. There's a reason you're here. You have plenty of demands on your time. There are lots of things you can do. In fact, watching leaves is one of them. And that's important because that's self-connection. You're here for a reason. I want to give you a whole bunch today. You decide what you need, what you want to find useful. And one thing at a time, just like my friend Mitch up there, great client partner, turned me on to Atomic Habits by James Clear. Fantastic book. Larry, if you put that in the chat, I'd appreciate it. Larry's my fine husband. He's also producing this. Atomic Habits, great book. I'm a voracious reader. I'm just going to let you know right now, if you don't know this already, big reader. And in fact, if you have books that have been helpful for you in your growth, please go ahead and put them in the chat. If you see somebody great here, which, hang on, there's a whole room full of you. Go ahead and private invite them to connect. Please do. All right, here we go. Well, we're already going, aren't we? When you think about your life, here's the first way I want you to think about it. Who do I want to be? It is not, what do I do? That terribly American question. Oh, Kelly Hill, what do you do? Liz, what do you do? Like, not too many people just love waiting for that question to come their way. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't love your work. It doesn't mean that you don't mind answering that. However, you're here for high-level ideas. Here's another high-level idea. Tell people how you change the world. Change your words to change your transformation. When we think about how we change the world, and there's a whole freaking room, like I'm blown away. The power and smarts and intellect and can do and figure it out quotient that's in this room right now blows my mind. You have no idea how grateful I am. Look around. A lot of you don't know each other. Actually, raise your hand if you know one other person in this room already, besides me. Okay, great. Next time we meet, I want all y'all to raise a hand, right? Kylan, are you giving me an amen? Let's take Kylan for a minute. Kylan is with Ascend. She is in the pharmaceutical world. Phenomenal, fascinating, incredibly just hell-bent for election last couple of years, as always, right, Kylan? And they keep going and growing. She's going to be the CEO of her company someday. We just know this, right? Of course, you can do this. So the mindset is that you're in the transformational space. You're not only a leader. You're in the transformational space, and you're in the right room if that's what you came for. Shift the word change for growth. Change it out. Get rid of change, use growth. Here's why. Welcome, Sean. Great to see you. Debbie, good to see you. Corey, thanks for being here. Denise, Kara, Jesse, all y'all. Here's why we want to get rid of the word change and replace it with growth. If I went to you, Sean, and I said, hey, Sean, I want you to change this. How do you feel about that, Sean?
Like maybe I have a limitation.
Sure, a limitation. There's something wrong, amiss. You might feel judged. Now, if I said, Lisa Hurley, let's do this for your growth, how would you feel about that, Lisa?
I love growth, Ginger, so I'd be right there.
Right. How do people in general feel about growth, Lisa?
Growth is fine. If they think you're trying to change something, you get pushback.
Right. Absolutely. You know this as leaders. Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. When we are encouraged and supported in our growth, we are truly transforming lives, starting with our own. I call that self-connection. That's one of my concepts also. This is the first time, in fact, I think, Margaret, you were the first one to hear it yesterday. Self-connection is paying attention to self. What really deeply connects you to you first? And before we even get to reset, refresh, revitalize, we have to look at our self-connection. It is what I call the ignition point. And I'm a bit of a pyro, a former firefighter. So what is your ignition point? What lights you up? What starts you running? What gets you going? What keeps you up at night? What helps you sleep well? That ignition point is your first start. I'm going to show you my growth model today. Haven't rolled it out too much. Some of you know it, but not everybody knows it well. The first part of the growth model is ignite. We need to know our why, which is also our mindset, in order to do anything. Because Shipley, if I don't have an ignition point, if I'm not literally fired up about something, how am I going to do in this world?
Oh my goodness. Well, you'll definitely have passion. You won't have passion or fire. You'll be indifferent.
Oh, indifference. Last time I checked, there's not a lot of CEOs in the Fortune 50 that are indifferent, are there? Right? And I use the term CEO because we really want to be in that mindset. A CEO is a leader. A CEO is so many things. Another book I'll share is, if anybody's read The CEO Next Door, highly recommend that. Co-authored book. The number one trait the number one desired characteristic, style, practice, ethos of a CEO for boards. A lot of you have boards. If you're not in a, if you don't have a board, you're part of a board. You know how important boards are in directing and guiding progress. It's Canadian for progress. The number one attribute they're looking for, anybody want to take a guess? Or anybody know from reading the book? It's reliability. Ask yourself, are you a reliable, transformational leader? That's a big question. Oh, such a good one. Don't get weighted down by this. Be elevated, like, oh, that's a new way to think about it. You're not in the employee business. You're transforming lives. I mean, think about it. It's just, Debbie, you don't just sell furniture. You don't rent furniture to trade shows. You help guide a group of people who are really engaged in what they're doing. It's just Debbie with Court Furniture. She's the one with her team who puts furniture in trade shows. If you're in searching for that, then Debbie's the one to connect with. But I've worked with Debbie and her team, and they're all really fired up. Why are they fired up? Because they know their ignition point. They know what makes them hum. So know that before you start anything else. Your pre-reset must be that ignition. And here's the permission slip I want you to write for yourself. If you are not ignited by what you are currently engaged in right now, change. Transform your own life to do something you love. You know that saying, life is too short? A couple of years ago, somebody actually helped me make it better. Life is both too short and it's too long. To waste your time engaged in something that doesn't bring you joy, value. I'm not talking about if it's hard work. You're all engaged in truly meaningful, deeply useful, sometimes very difficult challenge. But you know, we're such a funny species. We love this stuff. Why do we love this? Why do we love this? Let's see. Lisa Buchanan, why do you love your work? Lisa Buchanan comes to us from Texas. She's with the IAEE, the International Association of Events and Exhibitors. They were decimated, like some other people in this room, but not nearly as many as, like, what, 80% layoff furlough, Lisa? I mean, it's crazy. So Lisa, why do you stay in this phenomenal group of people supporting this membership?
Honestly, I like to see smiles on people's faces. I love to help individuals with their career, with their organizations, to help them grow. Obviously, that great growth word. That's really it. I've been in this industry since my mid-20s. So once you're in, right?
It's not a cult, y'all. It's like my choice. But yeah, and has it been a tough row to hoe?
Oh gosh, yes. The last 18, 19 months has been extremely challenging for all of our members, non-members in the hospitality industry. But we are forging back stronger than ever before.
Yes, so good. I'm glad you used that word. So glad you're here, Lisa. It's always good to see you. In fact, I met Phil and then Keith because of Lisa at a different event, a chapter leaders event for IAEE. Lisa used the word forge. I love that word. Now, some of you may know this, some of you may not. I'm a really avid cook. I love to entertain. I think a couple of you have been to my house I know a couple of you have been to my house. All y'all are welcome. I love to have a dinner party because the dinner party connects us. And you talk about forging and knives that are forged versus stamped. I'm going to nerd out for you in a minute. Knives that are forged versus stamped are stronger. They will last longer. They are sharper longer. Everything about forging is stronger. So think about that. Am I stamped or am I forged? There's a reason that the forging requires a lot of energy, a lot of firepower, very literally. So the dinner party experience, by the way, is one that is coming. It's in the works. Some of you already have that on your agenda. We're going to do that together. That dinner party, that table the coming together, the leading, the transformation. You all know this. When you sit at a table with somebody, whether you know them or you don't, you connect. That's transformation. Because whether it starts with pass the salt, or how do you know the host, or what's on your plate, whatever that is, that's leading your own life. That's being curious. And we're going to get to curiosity shortly. So make sure you ignite first. Make sure that you have a clear ignition point. And if you don't, figure out your why first. That's exactly some of the work I do with some of my great clients. If you're interested in that, we can talk about that. There must be a why for everything else to roll. So reset is the first in thinking about going forward. Here's what I don't want you to do anymore. You're not allowed to use these words. So Larry will put them in the chat, write them down for yourself. You're not allowed to use these words. Normal. Back to. Return. That is hoping, and hope is not a plan for transformational leaders like you. It's not. Hope is a feeling. There's a validity to hope. There's a usefulness for hope. But hope is not a plan. Ginger, what do I do then? And if I don't have hope? Stick with me. I always give you an alternative. I always give you a better way. Instead of hope, we use faith. Now, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about faith. In fact, put your hand on your heart right now. Close your eyes. Feel your heartbeat. Our trust that our heart is beating is faith. You may open your eyes. That's faith. And here's the bonus. Your heart, head, and guts are the three smartest parts of you. And to reset, we must engage all of them. You ever have those moments where you think, oh, my gut is telling me this? Keith, have you ever had one of those moments?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What happens in those moments where you consciously register, oh, my gut is telling me this? What's going on, Keith?
I think you're judging on your brain to give you the feedback that you need, and just kind of the instincts and experience that you have to get a feeling.
So good. Yes, Keith, you're so right. Instincts and experience. Yes, Keith, you got a smart gut. Pay attention to your gut, folks. I recently gave a workshop in Nebraska for a leadership group, and I challenged them, think with your head, hearts, and guts. I call it the trifecta. And one woman in the room said, no, my head is way smarter. And some of you are laughing because you know that's not good enough. No, wait a minute, hang on. Think about this for just a minute. Why do you think your head is smarter than your guts? Why do you think that your heart doesn't play a part? Emotional intelligence, like I know some of you in this room are expressly studying right now, is so much more powerful than we've given it credence to. And here's something else you can't ever use again, ever. I hear this coming out of your mouth or off your fingers. I love you. I'm going to send you on your way. You are not allowed to call these skills soft. That is, I don't know where that load of bunk came from, but interpersonal, connecting human skills are not soft. True or false, with a thumbs up or an emoji or something in the chat, they are the hardest ones. Damn straight, y'all. Yes, don't denigrate them or equate, like, what does texture have to do with skills? It doesn't make any sense when you really break it down. Victoria, your hospitality, financial, and technological partners, they have a lot of mechanical skills, true? Yes, they do. Do they benefit, Victoria, when they learn something new that helps them with their interpersonal, when they get a reminder?
It helps them the most. I think, when you relate personally, it kind of brings them out of that everyday mechanics of their job.
Yeah. Let's go off autopilot, Victoria, shall we? Right? Autopilot isn't thinking. Autopilot is programmed. So that ignition point is that first one. This is what's happening when you're resetting in this way. You're activating. You got to have skills, practices, techniques, methodologies, they matter. Know that you have to have the ignition point first in order to activate those skills. So take those words back to your team, the ones to use, and help them activate as well. That's what transformational leaders do. Leadership is not something to have a chokehold on. I think you all know that. I'm going to reaffirm that. Don't chokehold it. Don't run at breakneck speed. Wait a minute. Where did that saying come from? I don't want to break any necks. I don't think you do either. That's a whole different ball of wax. When you are thinking about activating in that reset mode, here's a few things I want you to think about. The order of resetting is self first, team next, community third. It's self, team, community. It must go in the order that is here. Here's why. Unless you know it yourself, unless you are truly connected with yourself, that self-connection I talked about, you can't possibly lead. And there's no freaking way you can be a transformational leader. That's a manager. There's a big difference. Mitch, you're nodding your head. Mitch and I are working together. Mitch is a superintendent at the York Public Schools in the middle of the fabulous state of Nebraska. And the reason we're working together is he wants to help his team go from the evaluation mindset to the coaching mindset. Coaching is transformational. If you don't have a coach, if you've never had one, please invest in yourself. That's transformational. A coach doesn't do the work, for the record. If you've not had one yet, and if you need any help helping figure out how to have a coach, please, I'm happy to have that conversation over a cup of tea. I've made some interesting choices because they've been uneducated choices. I haven't had somebody like CJ or Debbie or Kelly or Liz say, hey, Ginger, think about this when you're thinking about a coach. So I learned a little bit of the hard way. At the same time, the best coaches help you transform. You've got to be in that mindset. I turned somebody down last week for coaching. I'm like, wow, whoo, they're not ready. More importantly, they're not willing. One of the prime concepts I teach is also got the willing in it. Several of you know this. It's in my book. It's something that I bring back over and over again. And it's the leadership mantra of POW. Positive, objective, and willing. In order to find your ignition point, in order to reset, you must be positive, objective, and willing. You must be. Positive is mindset. Mindset is everything. There's no way we can become one without a positive mindset. That objectivity is suspending judgment. There are some of you in here, probably all of us, that have felt judged at some point. Yeah, bring more of that. No. No. Let's leave that in the courts. Suspending judgment helps free up that fabulous brain of yours to think about other things in different ways. I'm going to share a couple more of those in just a few minutes. When you're thinking about being objective, you get what I call hypercurious. Mitch, I'm coming your way. Mitch, as I mentioned, great client partner in York, Nebraska, doing challenging work as a superintendent. Mitch, you were actually the first person in your team, which we rolled out hypercurious. What does hypercurious mean?
You know, for us, we had a great discussion about it a couple of weeks ago. You know, is making sure that we're in the kid business and the adult business all at one. And so when we're hyper curious, that means we're asking far more questions than we are answering questions when it comes to adults and students. And so it just so happened a couple of weeks ago, we had a tough week that week with some student situations, and it really motivated a couple of principals that I have to make sure that they remain hyper curious as they're working with the parents, and because it turned into some tough discipline situations. But instead of going in and thinking they knew all the answers, they went in hyper curious, and for the most part, things worked out well because of that.
Yeah, it's not, you nailed it. Thank you, Mitch. I did not prep him on this. This is Mitch. This is Mitch's growth. And Mitch is already engaged in some masterminds and some other coaching. So Mitch, I'm super proud of you. And it's when we get thinking about the questions, we remove the other noise, the other detritus in our mind, right? So good. So proud of you and your team, Mitch. Thank you for that. When we are hyper curious, we are truly leading in a transformational way. True or false? The best leaders ask more questions than they do talk. So true. Yes, so true. So watch yourself today. Thank you, Zach. Glad you're here as well. Gail, so good to see you. Denise, check yourself. And I mean in a good way. Challenge yourself or have somebody who can help you. Hey, Kelly and I are check-in partners on this, and she hears me say something. She's like, Johnson, you've been kind of doing a lot of this today. Checking in. Okay, thank you, Kelly. And for the record, Kelly is a fabulous nutrition consultant. She helps people get so much healthier based on what you put in, which is another leadership move. If we're not putting the right fuel in, we're toast, and toast is good for breakfast, but not for anything else. Maybe avocado if you live in California. Just kidding. Kelly, it's so true, isn't it? That when we pay attention to what that fuel is for our leadership, including starting with our body, we are stronger, better, longer.
Yeah, if you don't have the energy to bring to the situation, you aren't going to be much help.
Done. Mic drop. Yes. Thank you, Kelly. It's so true. It's so true. So why do we not always listen to the truths or even sometimes the facts? Because often we're balled up in beliefs. Here's your next lesson. Beliefs are not truths. They are not facts. They are changeable. Just like we change our clothes, just like we change the direction that we're driving in the car or our flight plans or whatever it is. Beliefs are changeable. So be encouraged when you have a sticky conversation and in the back of your mind is saying, they're stuck on their belief. Take that as a moment, as a leader, to say, how can I help that person examine, pause, reflect, and think, what's really going on here? That is resetting. You're helping somebody else reset. That activation with the self-team community, the self-connection, the hyper-curious, it's listening, it's language, it's curiosity. And it's also a concept that I teach. Where is it? It's here somewhere. Be interested, not interesting. That's transformational, my friends. If you want to be a leader, you're interested. You're curious. That's where all this comes together. This is the EQ, the IQ, the whatever Q, the CQ, connecting quotient. Yeah, that's where that all comes home to roost. Gail, when you're interested in your members, Gail is with the Academy of Laser Dentistry. Gail, so good to see you. When you're making calls to your members right now, aren't you, Gail?
Well, I haven't started that project, but yes, I will.
You're going to. And you're coming at it with an interested mindset, correct?
Correct.
Now, you shared with me that dentists, of course, are amazing. We're all super grateful for them. And they have their own ethos. So, Gail, when you think about the questions you're going to ask, which you're going to show your interest in them, how are you thinking about that? You and I have gone back and forth a little bit on this, but how are you thinking about that as you ramp up to make these conversations happen?
Well, one of the reasons I haven't started is because I haven't started to actually think about what would be thoughtful questions to ask of them of their time. So some of the things I'm noodling on actually being personal and talking about their family and what their team, how their everyday life is, and it's a check-in point. So it's not about your patient load or the laser that you're using. I think that empathy is really important right now, and getting to know people by just being caring. I mean, I think is the way to go. And then wherever the conversation takes me, I'll be open to seeing where that goes. So showing empathy first and finding out, do you have kids? What's their life like? Is my intention.
Yes, Gail, so good. You're going to go skin off ball on that one. I can't wait to hear your progress because Gail hit a bunch of really smart points. Thank you, Gail. First of all, be personal in your work. I'm not talking about intimate. I'm talking about personal. They need to know you give a damn, right? If people think you're just a paycheck, if people think you're just like, oh, that Phil with Federal Conference, I'm just going to check the boxes and get this thing done. Like it's really mechanical. It's technical. It's sterile. Sterile's great for a laboratory, sucks for personal relationships. If everyone in this room thinks that they're in the relationship business, then get personal. Personal is different than intimate. Know the difference. Get your radar up, learn to do that. That's exactly what I do at the dinner party experiences. You learn to find out who somebody is well before you learn what they do. Doesn't matter. What they do doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's truly academic. It's amazing. All right, so that's our activate, our ignite, our activate, our candles burning in the background. I don't know if that shows up or not, but it's down there. All right, keep the comments coming. And for the record, or just out of curiosity, who else is in the association space? I see a bunch of you. Give an emoji on your screen because this is good cross-pollination for connection. I know Gail, Victoria, Sean has a fabulous business. It's professionals for association revenue. If you're in an association and you want to create more non-dues revenue or revenue, you're going to want to connect with Sean. Lisa, all y'all are touched by associations in some way. I mean, Phil, you're with the IAEEDC. In fact, you and Lisa probably trading high fives. So much good stuff about associations. That's a little bit of a sidebar, and it's really important that birds of a leadership transformational flock together. Find your people. There's a bonus lesson right there. When you go to an event, whether it's on screen or in person, here's the goal I want to make for yourself. And this is going to circle back. Aim to meet and make one truly meaningful connection. Connection is not volume. It's not networking either, for the freaking record. You want to get me going? Buy me a beer sometime. Let's talk about networking. No. Well, yes, but leave that for another day. Networking is different. A network is a thing. It's something we build. It started in the 1880s, the idea of building your social capital. We all want to do that. Oh, listen, did you hear that? Building your social capital. Those interpersonal, those relationships, you don't need volume to move the world. You don't. Because has anybody else in here felt a liberation since the pandemic started of letting go of relationships that have been dead skin, dead weight? Anybody else? Yeah. Woo! Yes. Listen to that, and listen to that no matter what the circumstances are. Stop dragging the piano around. Stop the shoulds. Stop the have tos. I'm starting to sound like Dr. Seuss. Get rid of those. Everybody has a star on theirs. Some of you might get that. Anyway, moving along. Focus on the relationships that move your needle. Decide what your needle is. So the ignite is before we reset. The activate is when we do reset. And there's, by the way, there's so much more. This is a bit of a fire hose this morning. You're getting a lot. You're going to decide what the one thing is, or maybe 5 things, whatever that is, that moves your needle. If I may be of service to you, you're welcome to reach out to Liz directly. You're welcome to reach out to me as well. And I got to give a high fives to Kara. Woo, woo. She is new on my team too. She is an account executive for Efficient Aid. And so Kara, so glad to have you in the mix as well. All right, so let's get to our third piece, shall we? Once you start activating, then you start excelling. Then you start excelling. Now, excel is the root word for what that you all want. What do y'all want? Early, I know you're laughing.
Excellent.
Excellence.
Yeah.
I would say excellence.
Yeah, of course it is. We want to excel. We want to accelerate. Excel is where we start to cook with gas. It's where that wolf range comes in. It's where the barbecue that Mitch has on his tailgate, it's where things really get fired up. Because once we start excelling as leaders, you really start changing the world. And you don't just create momentum. Listen, it's not about momentum. It's about creating energy to create a flywheel. A flywheel is self-perpetuating. Swiss watches have a flywheel. The highest quality bicycles have a flywheel. That thing keeps going. Aim for the flywheel. The flywheel is the example of excellence, because just to create momentum, you push a rock and it goes. You've given it some momentum, but it's going to peter out. It's going to run out of energy. Like one of my coaches said, be your own power plant. Focus on that energy. Don't rely on somebody else. Don't plug your cord in. Be your own damn plug-in. That's leadership. Keeping in mind, circling back, we always circle back. We always circle around, I should say. That to be able to do that, we still need to focus on self-connection. Self-connection includes self-care. We have to take good care of ourselves. Jesse, you know this. I'm coming your way. Jesse is with Cardinal Health, another fabulous person in the pharmaceutical industry. I know, Kylan, and you two know each other. Jesse, how do you take good care of yourself so you are the person you want to be?
I meditate on a daily basis in the morning. Microsoft actually came out with this new tool where it linked Headspace there. And so I'm able to kind of reset without having that connection or that time in the car to get to work. It was a struggle for me. And so really that meditation at the beginning and even sometimes in the middle and the end of the day really helps me again unwind and reset and be able to not take work home with me, even though it is in the home. So
Right. And while it's always part of you, Jesse, does this reset of meditation help you let go of what you can let go of for the evening so your husband doesn't get tired and say, Jesse, shut up?
yes.
Okay, we've all got that. Saw some laughs around the room. Yes, absolutely. Definitely. Thank you. The ripples out of pursuing excellence must be top of mind. I know some of us have had conversations in here about the impact on our, what I call our inner ripple. The ripples is a model I also teach about your connections. There's your inner ripple, your next one. Your inner ripple are your 3 a.m.ers. And your 3 a.m.ers, Lisa Hurley knows this. Lisa Hurley's actually one of mine. CJ Shipley, you're one of mine also. I mean, several of you are, frankly. You just don't know it yet. The 3 a.m.ers are the people who would pick you up from the airport at 3 a.m. Who are those people? And who are you, a 3 a.m.er to somebody? That's excellence. That's excellence in relationship. And that's where all this starts. There's a phenomenal ad by Carlsberg. Larry, if you can find it on YouTube and put the link in the chat, it's such a great ad because it really is unpacking the power of connection. Yeah, Carlsberg is a beer company. They totally understand that people want to connect over beverage. It's not about getting drunk. It's not about the alcohol. It's about the power of connection. So it's such a good one. I don't know if anybody in here has seen that ad. I'm not gonna spoil it. It's a really powerful ad. If we don't find it here, I'll find it and send it to y'all afterwards. So that excellence, keep that in mind, that your power is not a force. Your power is energy. Don't be forceful, be powerful. Huge difference. Huge difference. In fact, Kylan, I'm coming your way. Kylan is with Ascend. Kylan is going to be the CEO of our company someday. Of course, we got to know that. Kylan, when you think about energy and the power of your energy, what comes to mind?
I think being impactful to other people and being a light for other people, lighting up the room with your presence, with your smile, really showing people that your energy comes from within, and that's where it's created, and that's how you share it with people, is having it within you first, lighting up the room and sharing it.
Yes. Thank you, Kylan. You have young children, correct?
I do. I have a 2-year-old daughter.
Okay. Does that take a lot of energy?
A lot of energy, but it's the best.
Why is it the best?
Because it's something that is so important to you, and it means a lot to have a lot of energy to show up for her. She feeds off of our energy, me and my husband. If we have a bad day, she feels it. If we're stressed out, she feels it. So making sure she sees us with energy and happy and healthy, and then she's happy and wants to follow in our path.
Absolutely. So true. And Kylan has recently had some huge epiphanies in her life of, my growth is up to me. And so she has taken measures. You can connect with her later. She'll tell you a story. Kylan, and anybody who's a parent, there's a great book I just finished reading, French Kids Eat Everything.
Yes.
Have you read it?
Such a good one.
It's such a good book.
Such a good one.
I don't even have human kids, and I'm learning a ton from this one because it's all about mindset. So put that one on your list too. You're gonna have so much stuff to read, I'm telling you what. Yes, Phil, I'm coming your way. When you think of all your years invested in this amazing community, the things that you pursue, the changes and and transformation you've afforded. How do you think about energy in that equation?
I mean, it's all about energy. It's what you, it's kind of the karma effect, right? So it's what you give is what you get.
Mm.
I think it goes back to the original piece, right? It's ignite and activate, and you've got to have the why. And I will always love you for pushing me during our first session to why am I in the industry, and to what Lisa had said is really it's to make people smile. And so it's that positive energy that what you put out is what you get back.
Yeah.
It's just
Yes.
so important.
So true. And it is, it's even beyond important, Phil. It's critical. If we don't have it, we can't give it, we can't get it. Because receiving, Phil, true or false, receiving is just as important. Oh, yes. Thank you, Phil. So good. I'm really excited to see you in DC in January. All right. So let's see. Zach, I think you're here. Zach. Zach,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
there you are, Zach. Zach, I believe that you have kids as well. So we'll do one more kid highlight, regardless if you have human children or not. Zach, how important is energy to you as a parent?
Well, so I have 4 kids, and so they keep us moving. But I would echo that earlier comment around, I can think of days where if I'm having a bad day or not staying positive or the way that I can sort of drive them. For us, the work from home, the school from home last year, there were days where, if I could jump up out of bed and smile and be energetic and excited, my 5th and 6th grader, you could almost see them kind of go, well, I guess if he's doing it, we're gonna jump in with him. And so, how can I help transfer some of that excitement or energy or passion to the things we're doing, to help those around me sort of feel the same way.
Absolutely. So good. Thank you, Zach. Absolutely. 4. Woo, that's making all of us tired, I think. Thank you for that, Zach. Absolutely. Zach is also with Cardinal Health, and he's helping, of course, transform the world as well. Y'all are. So we come to the last piece of the growth model, and this is necessary. And as I was thinking about how do I want to offer transformation? How do I want to support great people truly like you in their own journey and in their own thinking and so forth? Because transformation, here's the nugget. Transformation, there it is. Blah. Transformation is about how to think, not how to. It's a big difference. I'd write that one down. How to think is transformation, because how we think drives our behavior. How to is simply technical. Now, there's a place for that. That's way down on the hierarchy. How to think is really where transformation, leadership, resetting, refreshing, reconnecting, all of that lives. How to think. I got that from another great book, The Referable Speaker. As you know, I'm a professional working speaker, and it's important to me to hone my craft. It's important to you to hone your craft. It's important because we want to truly make an impact. We don't want to just show up. I don't know about you, but, well, I'll ask you right now. What do you want on your headstone? Like, whoa, Ginger, where'd that come from? Welcome to Wednesday, everybody. What do you want on your headstone? Put it in the chat. I'm curious. Whether you're going to be buried or not, what do you want that to say? Like, oh, wow, you got to think about that, don't you? Here's what I want your headstone to say. I made a difference. And it would mean it. Margaret, you're making a difference. Zach, you're making a difference. Gail, everybody here is making a difference. It's how we choose to make that difference based on how we think. Such a critical point. Denise, if you're able to unmute yourself, would love to hear a little bit about, as Denise is with Event Prep, another phenomenal industry community member. Denise, so glad you're here today. Thank you.
Yes, you are so full of energy. I'm loving this.
Thanks. You can find somebody to bottle it. I'll split the proceeds. So Denise, as you think about the rebounding, the recuperating, the reinvigoration of events, what is on your mind for energy, for staying a leader in that space, Denise?
Getting out there, really just making sure, I think we have all become very used to being in our homes and not going out. And I think as much as we say we're striving for that and we want that, I think people are still kind of in that rut of staying home. And I think that really to re-energize and to redo, and you have to get out there. You have to just do it.
Yes, yes. Nike is right, aren't they, Denise?
Just do it. That's
Yes,
right.
yes, just do it. It's the 5-second rule that Mel Robbins talks about. Get out there. By the time you think it, you're overthinking it. Corey is with Acor. Acor is a hospitality company around the globe. Corey, if you're able to join us, I would love to hear, knowing that the hotel industry, the whole community around that has really taken a blow. Corey, how are you thinking right now about, as a leader, resetting, keeping your troops, bringing new troops on? I mean, this is a really big question, Corey. I know you're capable. Like, what's something that comes to mind as you want to keep marching forward? Because you're not going to stop. You're going to keep going. What are you thinking about right now, Corey?
Well, what I'm thinking about now and what I've thought about for 18 months is mental health. A lot of our focus has been on mental health and the wellness and well-being of our, we call them heartists, but it's the heart of our company. That's our term. And so it's about caring for people. And we are a hospitality company, but really our focus beyond our partners was internal. And just making sure that people had the, they were aware that they could take the time they needed to. I mean, I had a account director who took a month off and went home and worked from there and just needed to get away out of his 1-bedroom New York apartment. And just the flexibility and the ability to be able to be just supportive and understand what people are going through and understand that what I'm going through, they're going through, and that you need to be there and you need to be supportive. So for us, that was critical for us just to be healthy and strong when we came out.
Yes.
Of this. And as we're coming out of it now, we weren't going to be successful if we didn't have the health of the people that needed to get us where we needed to get.
Right. Now, Corey, has this fundamentally changed how you say Acor moving forward?
Absolutely. And it will continue to be. And it's actually very much, we just did a whole piece on mental health, and we just did interviews with colleagues within the company and just making more, mental health has always been something that people don't talk about. And we've had to make sure that people felt comfortable speaking either to their manager, to their leader, and by having leadership speak publicly through interviews that were made public. I think we're breaking down some of those barriers and allowing people just the comfort and security to be able to talk about it without fear of losing their job or being, not promoted the next time because they may have been perceived to be X. So yeah, that is huge for us, and that will continue.
Absolutely. Thank you, Corey. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank
Corey
you.
has gotten us into the final piece, and that is appreciate and aspire. So much that Corey just shared, and what's on probably a lot of our minds, is a tsunami of opportunity. Get out of the rut into the groove. Denise used the term rut. Yeah, get into the groove, my friends. That's the best one to be in. And we got to do that by modeling. It's not about comfort, it's about safety. And like Corey shared, when people see that, when they see the inspirational and more importantly, the aspirational, they can picture themselves in there. Oh, they're looking for truly a safe space of non-judgment. Safe is not familiar. Hear me, please. Safe is not familiar. Safe is not a comfort zone. Their comfort zone is a booby prize. One of my coaches taught me that. That is so freaking true. Do not aim for comfort. In fact, I need to rewrite my book, because if you have this book and you come across the word comfort, cross it off. I started with comfort and confidence. No. I'm going to change my own things. It's about confidence and competence, because you will get into the place where you feel authentic and truly empowered. Oh, we're coming back to the power again. I've got the power. You all have that power. For people to feel safe, they need to see somebody else doing it. Not always. Some of us that are stone cold crazy will say, I'm going to do it anyway. The best leaders still have other people in their mind, even though that was a reference to myself. Of course, I look at people who I aspire to. Some of my personal, I don't know if I call it heroes or not, but some of the people I aspire to are people like, and you may not know some of these people, doesn't matter. Some of the best people on the planet, just don't know yet. I think of Kenyatta Turner. I think of Lawrence Henderson. I think of Marie Forleo. I think of a whole bunch of people. You probably think of, in fact, think of somebody and write their name down right now who you look at as an aspirational model for something. Think of somebody who you're like, yeah, wow, they're doing that thing that I'm interested in learning and growing. Write their name down. Here's another challenge for you today. You have teams, find out who their aspirational models are. Find out who they look to for some sort of growth and guidance. Here's one thing I've learned in the grad level investment that I've put in myself in the last 5 or 6 years. Growth is not about following one Pied Piper. Life is an orchestra. When you look to different people for different elements of growth, you are going to have a much more comprehensive, much deeper, much more interwoven and deeply connected, meaningful, purposeful, profitable personal model. And as you grow in your own transformation, take a look at who is it that you follow right now for whatever reason, and evaluate that. Whatever frequency you want, twice a year, once a year, every 5 years, whatever that is. I don't know about you, but it's like produce. It's best fresh. And when it gets old, you either need to consume it, put it in some stew, or compost it. Say goodbye to what no longer fits, to what no longer promotes and helps you move forward. That appreciate and aspire, that part that is so critical. When I was thinking about this, I'm like, we got to refuel. This is that part, the resetting, the refreshing, the revitalizing. It's the reference of the rear view. True or false? We drive by looking in our rear view mirror. Of course not. Although there might be some other people on the road we think are. Debbie, you've never been behind somebody like that, right? We want to look out the windshield, friends. The rear view is reference. We need to pay attention to reference. Side views, side mirrors, different kind of reference. Those are our blind spots. What's one of your blind spots? I know what some of my blind spots are, and I rely on great people like you to help me see my blind spots. Those are the best, most powerful, deepest connections. Help people transform their thinking so they ask you, Keith, what do you see for my blind spot? Kaylin, what do you see for my blind spot? Where can I improve? Where can I grow? The appreciation and aspiration is a perfect place to reset again. And then we begin a truly virtuous circle. It's a merry-go-round we all want to be on because it goes around. We can get off, we can get on. We might ride a different animal. We might see a different view. But that metaphor of thinking about where are we going? How am I going to get there? What am I truly and deeply appreciating right now? Who am I appreciating? Who am I expressing gratitude for? And then the omnipresent continual improvement. Now, in closing, I want you to think about starting over, starting anew, beginning again, aspiring, not as exhausting. Think of it as refreshing. Think of it as revitalizing. Think of it as renewal. It's Mother Nature at her best. Debbie, coming to you. Debbie, I know that you and your fabulous family, you have something really neat in your backyard. What is that?
In my backyard?
Yes. I think it's in your backyard, unless it's in your front yard.
I don't know. You got me on that one. I don't know what you're thinking of.
You have a pond, right?
Oh, yep. Yep, I do have a pond in my backyard next to the waterfall and pond, yes.
Why do you have that, Debbie?
Peace, tranquility, nature.
Yeah. Does that help you appreciate?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So good. whatever that is for you, that self-connection. Thank you, Debbie. I can't wait to see it in person. She's like, what's in my backyard? Like, don't worry, I
I'm
haven't
like,
dropped
"Wait a
some unexpected gifts.
Yeah, I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna run out there right now."
Everybody send her a pink flamingo. No, just kidding.
Oh Lord.
So good. So to sum this all up, the pre-reset, we're focused on ourselves, self-connecting, self-care, taking good, true care of ourselves, whatever that looks like for you. Then resetting. You've ignited, you're going to activate Wonder Twin powers. What are you going to get in motion about? Because this energy requires motion. It requires action. Get rid of what doesn't move your needle. Truly. My coach is challenging me on that right now. Like, Ginger, there's some WOTs in there, some wastes of time. Like, oh, right. Okay. I'm going to walk my talk. So Kara, a lot of stuff is coming at you. She's engaged and she's part of our team now. Like, Kara's like, give me stuff. I will, Kara. Love you for being here. And then we start to excel. Then we start, start cooking with gas, right? We got the seat at the table. It's like, pass the beets. Those are great. Take another helping. Beets are good for you too, right, Kelly? Superfood. So good. Yes. And then we start to appreciate, aspire, and we refresh. We create that virtuous circle. We are better people when we are transformational leaders. So here's my last challenge to you. In the chat, before we leave, put down what I asked you to think about. What's the one thing that's really resonating with you right now? Put it in the chat. You can circle it in your notes, but please share it in the chat. I think everybody would benefit from seeing what other high-thinking, high-level individuals, leaders, transformational thinkers are thinking about. What's the one thing that's really standing out for you right now? If I may be of service to you, further service, there's several great client partners in the room, super grateful. There's some that are on the way in development. If there's some way I can be of service to you, speaking, professional development, the connection experiences, which include the dinner party. If you want a copy of the book, please reach out. Let me know how I may be of service to you. I'm gonna stick around for a little bit. So if anybody would like to have some discussion, has a question, whatever it is, if you got to bounce, super glad you were here, and I'm sure we will connect soon. So thank you so much. Stay fired up, and remember, life is powered by connection. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Absolutely. So I'll take any questions or comments now if anybody has them. Happy to type. Oh, it's so good to see you all. You just totally made my month. Victoria with the scarf. Gail, I want to know how those conversations go. Kylan, I love seeing you here. Lisa Hurley, Sean, this is great. Sean and I are just getting to know each other. Absolutely. Corey, I know you got a super, super full schedule. Super grateful that you made time. Love the red. Red's the color du jour. Love it. Denise, thank you for being here. Zach, Kelly, so good. Enjoy those leaves on your deck. Absolutely. Keith, thank you so much for being here. Liz, you light up my life, sister. Absolutely. Indeed. So any questions, any comments, anything hitting the target or anything you want to push back on? Phil, I hope you have one.
Ginger.
I have a question. Kylan here. Thank you very much for today. This was really wonderful to be in a room with such inspiring and impactful people. So this was really great. And my question is connecting with everybody. What is the best way to, like you said, create that meaningful connection with at least one person? I wrote everybody's name down so I can go on LinkedIn and look everybody up, but is there a better way? Are you providing any information, or is that not really the right thing to do?
Great question. Great question, Kylan. So I think you are already on the pro track. Like you are taking the initiative. I know that you will personally invite everybody. You won't just hit connect. Please don't do that on LinkedIn.
Right.
I'm going to assume nobody does that. Don't just send a connect request. That's sanitized. Like, I don't have any reason. So reach out to them that way. And I can, I don't do it very often. I can ask the group in a safe way, would you like to be connected with anybody else? At the same time, I feel like the onus is on you to go ahead and take that ball. And Helen, you can call me anytime. You can say, who is that person with, whatever. Like, you got my phone number. You can call me. So go ahead and take the initiative there. Find out what fits for them.
Perfect.
Can't wait to get your CEO. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Phil.
You know, I can't be quiet.
Nope.
So, you know, I want to go back just a little bit before the ignite and the why.
Okay.
And if we could just talk a little bit about helping someone, you know, and I think, again, you really helped me. I mean, it was a little painful, I'll be honest. I was trying to call friends, but you really put me through a good exercise. If we could maybe just, if you could touch on that a little bit more on identifying the why to get to the ignite, that would be awesome.
I will. Absolutely. Your why, as opposed to the why, which comes up later, your why, Phil, starts with reflecting on who you want to be. Now, I think that you're one of those more contemplative people, Phil, based on our conversations and the relationship we're growing. Your why starts by being super duper crystal clear and giving yourself the space and, frankly, the time to figure out what your why is. So, for example, about 5 or 6 years ago, when I knew that I wanted to shift from what I was doing into something different, because that thing I was doing was no longer a fit. I would wake up frustrated and I'm like, why can't I figure this out? Maybe I'll try it this way. Maybe I'll try it this way. I'm like, I can't figure this out 6 ways till Sunday. And by the way, I'm not inspired by it anymore. Woo! That was why I was frustrated. I'm like, it's not working. There's a whole thing, and we'll unpack on that later. But I gave myself the grace and space, Phil, to say, okay, if it's not this, then what is it? So I became my own experiment of why do I want to do that thing? So what I personally did is I started thinking about what is it that I really love to engage in? And I battled with myself for a little bit first. I teach why and mindset. In fact, we can do that when I'm in DC if you like. And it's a longer exercise. I'll just give you the brief example right now. We go into why thinking about who do we really want to be? That's it. Who do we really want to be? That is, just like you said, it's kind of painful for some because it is very foreign for most of us. I remember when I first experienced that, it was a huge watershed for me. I felt physically uncomfortable. I'm sure that my tear ducts kick in just because the sheer surprise of like, oh, wow, there's so much there. So I lead people through the exercise of finding your why. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's a strong examination, clear-eyed, no coffee necessary, of what is my life really about? What do I want my headstone to say? And so we talk about the why and the mindset, and there's different places along the way of how to think about it. One tool I use is an org chart. Like, Phil, have you ever drawn your own personal org chart?
No.
Okay. Here, so I encourage you all to do this. I have a YouTube video on it. If you put you at the top of your org chart, I'm helping my husband do this right now. Actually, he's going through a huge why phase. And then you do some brainstorming. Like, if these are my drop downs, if these are my categories, what do I want to invest my life in versus spend? Because Phil, I know you don't want to waste any time. Nobody wants to waste time, but sometimes we do. So I started doing this, and I learned this from a previous client, which has been a gift of gold to me. And I started writing down, well, what are all the things I have done? And so I was in the mechanical place. I'm like, okay, I think this is where I'm going to start. So I started. The first one, I'm not going to show you. It's like the worst case John Madden you've ever seen. It's just all over the map. But I downloaded what it is. What had I done? So if you think about something you've done, like, okay, so there's coaching, there's teaching, there's cooking, there's this, there's that. And you just do that first, Phil, and then put it away. And then you come back to it at least a couple of days later, if not a week later, and you don't look at it, you start a new one. And you say, okay, I spent some time noodling on this. What does it look like now? And you do the same thing. And you put it away. And then you get a fresh piece of paper. I highly recommend paper for this, not electronic, not white erase. You want to keep this because this is your growth in action. And then you look at these things, you say, okay, how do these group? What do I want to keep? What do I want to put out to pasture, Phil? I got really clear once I started going there. That's where I started excelling with my own thinking. Like, oh yeah, I've done that thing, but do I really want to do that thing? No, I don't. Oh, and here's something I've never done before. Do I want to do that thing? Yes, I do. So you start to get excited internally because your energy is saying, oh, yeah, that's what I love. Put that into there. I don't believe in the saying, do what you love and you never work a day in your life. I think that's a bad bill of sale. Do what you love and intersect it with where you make the living and have the lifestyle that you want. That comes from a good friend of mine, Eric Partiker. Like, yeah, that's where we want to live. So you get this out and you start to see them. I date them all. I've literally got a stack of them now. I put them on brightly colored paper and I post one. I'm traveling right now and I don't have it posted right now and I'm missing it. And so I'm going to put that after this. I'm going to make the commitment to you. I'm going to put my org chart up here. Now, it took me about 1.5 years to get to where I'm at today. I haven't looked at it for almost 2 years. And I am going to re-examine that. I got to the point from the Madden, like everything on the wall show to 3 things. And I realized, Phil, that everything I love to do, all the energy I wanted to invest in my life and in others came down to 3 things. So I have my org chart. So try that exercise. It's very, very useful. Like I said, my fine husband's doing it. I can see it on the desk underneath me. And he's like, and I can see him as he's figuring this out. I can see the confusion and I can see I don't know where to start with this in what he's doing. I'm like, he trusts me. Like, babe, we'll get through this one step at a time. So my 3 things happen to be speak, teach, write. Those are the things that make me really, really happy. Everything I do, Phil, falls underneath there. And here's the beauty of it. Everything I don't want to do isn't on there. Like I don't coach anymore. I only do executive level coaching if it is part of a much bigger package, like Mitch. Mitch is a superintendent. I do some one-on-ones with him in conjunction with his team, because the way that we can have the most impact is comprehensive. You all know this. It's like you, Corey. You don't want to just book one room night. You don't want to just book one event and then have it done. Like once and done takes a lot of damn energy, right? Like everybody's nodding their heads here. Yeah, you want long-term partners. So when you do your org chart, when you figure out who you are, who you want to be, then you serve so much better starting with yourself. So did that help, Phil?
Yeah, I'm about to tear up.
Bill,
Okay.
that's a Ginger. I would add that I've been through that exercise and I still struggle with the why, because it is a hard reflection of like who you think you should be and who you are. And I had a business consultant when I first started our work, and I think for a full 2 sessions, he kept asking me why. I was like, why did I hire this guy? That's what I want. But the reality was he was trying to get me to frame it. It just I don't know. We didn't have the tools that I certainly did not have the tools to understand where we were going. But like after 50 whys, I was like, look, man, I feel like I've answered your whys till the cows come. He goes, you still haven't answered it. And Ginger's point about revisiting it is important, because it's there's not a destination. I don't think it's a direction, right? So it's like you're just headed that way. Yes. I have to jump, but I just wanted to say, Ginger, thank you for inviting us all together. I had the pleasure of meeting Ginger at a live face-to-face event recently, which was wonderful. And I could tell she's the kind of person with the kind of energy that we all want to learn from and engage with. So I just want to thank you for making that happen today, and wish you guys the best on the rest of your week. I hope to see you all again on one of these soon. Thank you so much, Ginger.
Thank you, Sean. We'll talk soon. I really appreciate you.
Take care.
Yes, you too.
Thank you so much. I
Yes.
ditto his comments and appreciate you.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you. And Liz is longtime hospitality also. So you, I mean, Corey, you're like, yep, I've known her for quite some time.
Known her a long time.
Absolutely. Really grateful to get the opportunity to connect, to reconnect, and to provide some useful insights. So we'll see each other soon. Take good care. Thank you so much. So you've taken in the keynote. What are you thinking? Are you thinking differently? Is there something that stuck? What is that thing that stuck? What are you going to use? What are you going to actually put into application for your progress as a leader? Feel free to reach out to me, ginger@gingerjohnson.com, as well as call me at the World Headquarters, 515-450-7757. If you would like this for your audience, for your conference, for your leadership team, for your retreat, your board, whoever the group is where you really want to help them promote their reconnection, their connection with each other to do your best work. Stay well, my friends, and remember that life is powered by connection.